Okay, change speed effect. Depending on the situation, people have come up with EVPs that they claim may have been recorded slower or faster. I actually recently came across one after a lot of analysis, probably close to 6 months of analysis on this audio, trying to figure out what exactly it was. I came up with one that the change speed effect needs to be applied to this. And we'll see that in the demo. Basically what this is I recorded something. In the case of my EVP, it's something that I actually heard live and captured on the recorder. This is something that I consider not an EVP necessarily, but an AVP. Now, I don't want to confuse you with other terms, start throwing too much out here, but an AVP is a known thing. It's just not very common. But basically what an AVP is an audio voice phenomenon, whereas an EVP is electronic voice phenomenon. EVPs are typically embedded onto the tape recorder, the digital recorder, directly bypassing the microphone. It's electronically embedded on there through the coil that's in the microphone or the circuitry. An AVP uses the actual microphone to hear the spirit sound, voice, or whatever it may be. So in this case, I was actually standing in the lobby of movie theater listening. I heard what sounded like footsteps above me upstairs. I wasn't quite sure where it was coming from. I'd like to say it was upstairs because I knew there was a room upstairs above me. But it was kind of all around me. It was kind of hard to tell where it was from, so I just wrote it off as, hey, wow, there was a sound of somebody walking above me. I know none of our team was anywhere near that room or near where I was. They were on the other side of the theater. But I heard this live. When I went back over the video, I actually had a recording of what I heard live. I spent 6 months going over it, analyzing it, listening to it, and kind of determined that I don't think it is footsteps. Listening to how footsteps go, how the echo is, it doesn't sound like footsteps. So then it occurred to me one day that maybe, since this was an AVP, or what I consider audio voice phenomenon, I heard it live, it affected the microphone in the normal way that a normal voice would. If a spirit somehow created this through one of the theories, and again, I don't want to get into the technical of how spirits communicate with us and how they can manipulate their environment, but there's theories that spirits have the ability to build up enough energy to alter the molecules in the air, or actually interact with an object and make an object vibrate to radiate that noise. So could it have been coming from a piece of vibrating glass or metal, or could they have actually affected the air molecules? Yes, it's possible. When these type of things happen, typically they don't vibrate at the normal frequency and normal pitch that normal audio would be. It may be slower, faster, and there's theories because time is different in the realm where the spirits or the ghosts are. So by using the change speed, you're able to actually play around with the audio and see if you can determine what it sounds like. So we'll jump into the demo. You'll hear my footsteps and that I recorded, and then you'll see what the end result of what I think this EVP actually is. Okay, we're going to start our next filter here, which is the speed, changing the speed of the audio. So we've gone through amplify, high pass, low pass, and noise reduction, and now we're jumping into speed. Let me open up our EVP here and change speed. So I'll go through our normal step of splitting our tracks, changing it to mono so we can see more of our wave and be able to hear it through both speakers. Good, we're on mono. So a little background on this EVP and a little background on the speed phenomenon. This EVP was captured in Washington Theater by myself. I was in the lobby while the other investigators were at the front of the theater, all the way back by the stages, so complete opposite end of the building. There is an upstairs to the building, small, which used to be apartment area. None of our investigators were up there at the time. They had already finished investigating up there quite a while before and were at the back of the theater again. So there was nobody at the same end of the building where I was. While I was standing in the lobby, I heard and captured on the recorder this sound that sounded to me at the time like footsteps. Again, right away after I heard it, I assumed it came from upstairs. Kind of didn't really think about where the sound came from. I just assumed it was upstairs. But as I think back about it, the sound kind of really came from all around. Didn't really hear it directly above me. Didn't sound like somebody definitely walking above me. It was odd, and I just said, well, it sounds kind of like footsteps, and wrote it off. Again, now 6 months later, after going over this audio again and again and again, I've found a lot of different things. So I've gone through and compared this with the sound of real footsteps, how they echo. Very tedious process to try and see, if it could be matched to the sound of footsteps. And I found a bunch of things that didn't add up. The audio just didn't match what echoing footsteps walking away from you or above you would sound like. So it got me thinking. Did a little bit of research and realized a couple things. One, at the time I just wrote it off as footsteps and said, hey, it came from upstairs. But when you think about it, really I heard it all around me. It wasn't above me. Second thing was, hey, I heard it. I actually heard this sound live. So if it's on my recorder, how did it get on my recorder? Was it captured as an EVP, or was it actually captured as an AVP? Now, I don't want to start, getting you guys confused on terminology here, but just a brief overview, AVP is audio voice phenomenon. Basically, the difference is between an EVP and an AVP, and most of the time we're picking up EVPs. Electronic voice phenomenon, EVP, is captured directly on your recording device. It bypasses the diaphragm inside the microphone, and if anybody has a question about how a microphone works, hit me up on the side and I can explain. But basically there is a piece of material, a diaphragm inside a microphone, that as you talk, you're vibrating airwaves. These vibrating airwaves are vibrating this little diaphragm, and that diaphragm translates to electronic impulses that go onto your recorder. So basically, when you capture an EVP, the spirit or the ghost or the entity has bypassed that diaphragm. They're not vibrating that diaphragm. They're actually interacting with either the coil in the microphone or the circuitry in the recorder itself and embedding the audio directly onto the recording device. In the case of an AVP, the AVP was actually picked up by the recorder itself. My recorder heard the same thing that I did. I heard it out loud. It was actually picked up by the microphone. So if you do a little bit of research on this, a lot of different investigators have had all different types of theories as to how this happened, from the fact that a spirit can manifest up enough energy to actually manipulate the air molecules. Others have theorized that they can possibly vibrate glass, metal, other objects around you, making them act as a speaker. Basically, if you vibrate a piece of glass, if you hit it with a piece of hammer and not break it, it will vibrate and create a wave. So can this be used as a speaker? Yes, it is possible that a spirit could be manipulating the glass and vibrating it in a way that it radiates the sound that they want it to, which is their voice or a sound effect or whatever it may be. So in this case, it's probably one of those. Something vibrated or something affected the air molecules. And in most of these cases, investigators have found that it doesn't come across as real-time audio. It either comes across either faster or slower than normal audio, just because of theories of time difference between the realms. I mean, there's so many different theories, nobody knows, except for the people on the other side, of course. So that got me to thinking, could this AVP actually have been in slow or fast motion? And what I'm hearing is very, odd, because it's at a different speed. So let me try and play this first, and we'll see if you can hear it. So you're going to be looking somewhere about the 10-second mark onward, 9.5 to 10-second onward. And again, it's going to be very faint, and hopefully you can actually hear it. Best if you listen with headset. Pause the video now if you want to put on your headset. You'll probably hear it a little clearer. So here we go. Okay, let me stop it, and I'll start it right about here where it starts again. So I don't know if you heard that the first time, but listen closely again. You can hear what sort of sounds like footsteps. It kind of sounds like this echo, like thump, 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 getting quieter and going away. But after, like I said, comparing it to audio of footsteps, it doesn't sound the same. So what I wanted to do was play around with the speed. I thought, what if this was actually something, it sounds very slow and long and drawn out, what if it was actually something faster? Just came through very slow. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to highlight from about here all the way to the end. And once I have this highlighted, we're going to go up here and use our speed tool. So we go up to effects and we're going to go here to change speed. So again, what this does is it alters it by a certain percentage. And you can see there's some quick tools down here because Audacity is also used by audio specialists. You can quickly record your old records to digital audio and change the speed. If you had a 33, 45, or 78, change it to a different speed. But we're going to ignore that part. We're actually just going to use the percentage. And again, this takes some playing with, and not to go through the whole process of how long it took me to figure this out and play with it. We'll jump right to the percentage. But just playing around, I came up with something in the range of like 202%. Was about where I think it sounded almost normal. Again, there's no proof as to how or why this happens. There's no formulas to calculate it out. We don't know that there's a 200% time difference between where they are and we are. It's all just theories. But once you hear the audio, it's probably going to make a little more sense. So what you'll see is now it took the piece of audio and it compressed it down. You're missing this whole back piece here. So it not only compressed it down time-wise, so it's playing the same audio within a shorter period of time, but it also changes the pitch when it does that, because it's playing so much faster in a shorter period of time. What sounded like a low thumping actually turns into something a little higher pitch. It changes the pitch. So I'm going to go back and play everything from the very beginning so you can hear it right up into that point and then hear after the time change. Okay, so hopefully you heard that here. We'll go back here and play it again from that spot a little bit faster. A little bit shorter. And one more time. Again, this is very faint, so here's where our other filters come in handy, that we can highlight this whole area. And we can go up to our effects and do an amplify and try and boost this. So now we'll play from a little bit here where there are noises and let it play that whole clip in the back. So, very interesting EVP. I'll play it one more time. So what originally sounded to me like footsteps that were all around me, that I later realized was an AVP and not an EVP, and actually was not digitally implanted on a recorder, but was within the frequency range of normal audio, and fooling around with the speed to try and figure out the speed difference between where the spirits are and where we are, I came up with what sounds like a laugh. This theater was known for having, back in the vaudeville days, quite a few performers there, people like Betty White, people like Lucille Ball, many other names. Could this be one of the females, because this was captured in the lobby near one of the female change room bathrooms? It is possible. But again, save your audio out using your file and your export. Preface it with speed change or however you want to do your documentation, and this way you can present your original audio with the long drawn out footstep sounding one. here's your modified speed change, explain why you did it this way, that you think it's an AVP, etc. And again, let the listener be the judge of what they think is really there.